Well, hello there. So today I thought I would address a question that has popped up pretty frequently in the private Facebook group that I have for the Abundant Healer 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online program. And the question was, I'm interested in trying to figure out what my strengths are and believing in the value that they offer. How to use that going forward, how to hone in on what is unique to me in my practice. Okay. So to my mind, it's really two things. And the first is pay attention to what brings you pleasure. And the second is to prioritize, honor, and follow it. Now, it's that simple, and yet it's also that difficult because we've received a lifetime of conditioning that tells us that what brings us pleasure is wrong or shameful or in contradiction to what would please someone else, or it would break the rules, and therefore it's selfish, right? So we've been trained to prioritize what's going on outside of us. So we seek approval, permission, and validation from experts and authorities because that's what keeps them in power and control, and that makes us feel safe. Right? So this we could liken to institutionalization, right? When we start to feel burned out because we're so institutionalized by the companies and the agencies that we work for. This could be the systems that we have created around regulation, the money that gets poured into things that, certificates, and you have to make sure you have this and that. And so all of it, on some level is a benefit because it protects the consumer. But at the same time, it also creates this kind of environment in which you are questioning your own capabilities unless you have this thing. We've also had the other experience where you'll have people who do what they need to do to get a certificate or a degree or whatnot, but they don't actually do the work well, right? So how do we get in touch with what we like? How do we get in touch with that good feeling? How do we get in touch with who we are, the essence of our unique essence of self, right? Especially if we don't know what we like, especially if we don't know how to get in touch with that, especially if we don't know what it feels like to identify the next relieving thought. And that's really important because knowing what you like, knowing your preference for things is really akin to knowing who and what you are. So that has to translate into the way you market yourself in your business and in your practice. That's what's going to help you stand out. That's what's going to give you a voice as a practitioner in the field. And that's what's going to help you get away from the limiting beliefs about, I can't compete, or the market is saturated, or trying to make yourself fit in rather than trying to make yourself stand out, right? So, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this as we get into our branding challenge. We're going to be running a branding challenge the last week of July. So stay tuned. Tomorrow I'm going to start posting registration links for it. So if you've been keeping track of our live streams, stay tuned because branding challenge is coming up, and that is going to help you with standing out in your crowd, in your market, or in your niche. Okay. Now, at first, if we are going to try and get in touch with your unique self, that which will make you stand out as a practitioner, I think you actually have to stop asking the question as it pertains to like the loaded aspects of your life. So usually that's love and money, right? Because the more you tend to perseverate around it, the more momentum you get tied up in it. And then you start questioning yourself even more. And then you start wondering if you're doing the right or wrong thing. So you ask your family and your friends, and you start paying experts to give you their advice. And then you just end up being even more confused. And it gets to be a big tangled mess because you tell yourself that you need to follow someone else's advice. And then you just get even further and further away from who you are and what feels good and right to you because you don't even know anymore because your head isn't so flooded with what everybody else has to say, right? And then you stop, and then you feel like you don't have permission, you can't do anything, you're trapped because there's no clear voice and you can't hear your own, right? Now, this is the thing. This is the premise on which all of my program is built, and certainly the way that I have implemented the way that I make decisions in my business, and I have started making up to $10,000 a month in online revenue now. The thing is that there is an element to you, I believe, your inner being or your essence of self, your soul, your spirit, your higher knowing, whatever you want to call it, that knows something no one else does. And it's going to speak in a language that truly only you understand, but you have to be willing to listen. So I'm going to give you a real world kind of concrete example here. I just bought a new software program, and it's to help create passive income funnels. So passive income funnels are just essentially a series of emails and landing pages that guide people through my online platform. It introduces them to courses that I've created, and it just helps them choose what to buy and what is right for them. So this software program is really kind of cool because it allows you to sort of map out these sequences in a way that's very organized and powerful and kind of hard to manage once your list gets up to a certain size. So my list is about 5,000 right now. And so it's just become beyond manageable with other programs like Lead Pages and MailChimp. So I was talking to the specialist. This particular program is called Infusionsoft. And so you have a meeting with the specialist for like 5 hours when you first buy it, and they basically help you figure out how to use this program. So she's walking me through these templates that are obviously for someone who does not have the level of experience that I do and that has never created a funnel before. That's not my problem. And I could tell that she was kind of following a script, for new people who are recruited to this program. So I basically kind of stopped her at one point and I said, we don't need a script, right? We can throw out the templates because I already am doing something that I know works for me, and I just want to transfer it into the system so that I can build upon it more easily, right? And so then there's kind of this long pause on the other end, and she responds with, oh, but like she listened to the way that I do my funnels, and she's like, but that's not how people in the industry do it. And I had a moment there where I questioned myself, and I said, okay, well, I'll consider that and maybe we can come back to it later. And I really started thinking that maybe my sequence was wrong. Maybe this wasn't what I should be doing. But the numbers were telling me that I was right. I'd already implemented this funnel with another course that I'd done successfully. And I had had a conversation with my Facebook ads guy, and he was like, I can't believe that you're making money on the front end here. And I was like, I know, I can't either. And he's like, what gave you the idea? And I said, I meditated. And it just came through. And so I decided to do it, and it was working. And he's like, you're not spending any money on ads right now. What you've implemented, it's called a tripwire sequence, what you've implemented, your ads are paying for themselves. So it was working for me, despite the fact that the method that I had been implementing in this particular niche and industry in self-help and personal development was contrary to industry standard. And so after I got off the phone with the specialist, I started digging into the program myself, and I was learning it much more intimately, and I decided that I was going to set up the funnels the way that I wanted to. And so I committed to myself that on the next call, I'm going to walk in with a much stronger sense of authority. I will have bulleted 3 things that I want to accomplish in that hour, and I simply just need her to show me how to turn on the faucet. So basically, I had built the structures and the piping. She just had to show me how to turn on the water. Okay. And so I resolved to myself that I did not need her or the industry standard to tell me that what I was doing was working, right? I didn't need them to tell me that what I was doing was the right thing. And that was kind of a shift for me because I had no prior experience in online businesses and marketing up until about 2 years ago, none whatsoever. And I definitely held on to all of those myths about I'm an artist or I'm a creative type or I don't have a head for money. I'm just someone who's creative, right? Which is a bunch of fluff and not true. And it's a limiting belief that prevents you from trying something that you're afraid of failing at. Okay. And I did fail. I failed several times. And if you stick with me and you watch my live stream videos, you check my emails, you're going to be hearing more stories about how I failed multiple times at this. And now I've managed to do a few things successfully. And now I'm at a place where I'm willing to be like, no, this is how I'm going to do it. And you know what? Even if it does fail, it may work for a while and then it fails. And most things do in this particular niche. Then you've learned something and you can try something new, and I will be more and better informed on how I'm going to do it in my own way, right? So this is really, what I'm telling you could apply to any aspect of life, but it applies particularly in business because that's what this group is about, but also because part of being good in business is not just knowing what buttons to push and what switches to flip. It's also having a sense of yourself. It's also being connected in alignment with who you are and what you want. And then that bleeds out into every other facet of your life, including how you make money, right? So I want to bring this to a more creative level because I know we got a lot of creative types in this group. And so, for example, on a basic level in the world of art therapy, my modality, my training is in creative arts therapies, and my modality was art therapy specifically. So in that particular approach, teasing out what's yours and what is someone else's can be addressed pretty simply through just whatever choices you make. So do you like blue crayons or do you like red crayons? Do you prefer a straight line or a squiggly line? Are you drawn to abstraction or to realism? Do you like to plan your images ahead of time, or do you like to just spontaneously go at a canvas, right? So every single one of those minute decisions is actually a metaphor for how you approach every aspect of your life, okay? Business included. And it's also a reflection of what you uniquely bring to the table. And so if you can practice that quite literally in the realms of creative activities, whatever your method of creative expression might be. You know, some people hear creativity and they think they have to be Picasso. You know, creativity is like just approaching something from a new and different and playful place. It could be that you come up with a new and different way to write your marketing copy for your emails. It could be that you come up with a new and different way to cook, you know, pasta. It could be anything, right? It's just that when you're able to be playful and explorative in the way that you approach things, okay? And so if you can practice these yourself, the creative aspects of yourself, that is going to inform the business decisions you make. That is going to help you become more open and receptive to receiving the wisdom from your inner being that's going to help you make better decisions in business. Of course, only if you're willing and open to receiving that. If you think everything has to be done a certain way and you have to ask permission from experts and gurus for every single thing you do and it has to meet industry standard, then you're going to struggle a little bit. Now, certainly those things are important and useful because they give you the tools. But like, for example, in my program, I give you a lot of tools. But the first month, we focus almost primarily on spiritual and energetic clearing and helping you get in touch with the inner being first. That's so essential. You cannot skip that. And every business coaching program that I took, some of them addressed it, but not to the level at which I felt they needed to. So in my program, The Abundant Healer in 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online, we dedicate whole 30 out of 90 days to that. It's so essential, okay? Now, and basically what this does, when you're activating the creative parts of your mind, you are exercising your brain in such a way that even though you may not be consciously aware of it, it starts, let's say you're right hand dominant, so the left side of your brain is dominant. It starts, so you're stimulating the right side of your brain, right? If you're starting to do things you're not familiar with, but that allow you to access your creativity. Without you even being aware of it, now your right brain is communicating to your left brain, and your left brain is getting stimulated in a way that it hasn't been before. And so anytime you experience some form of novel stimulation or inspiration, you start to get new ideas, and you start to stop seeing things as so limited, okay? So tomorrow I'm going to pop back in here and do another live stream. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to demonstrate to you an exercise that is going to help you foster this connection to your inner being so that you can start making more aligned decisions in business. We're going to get very concrete here and demonstrative here. Okay, there's a lot of it goes on inside, a lot of it's hard to see, but tomorrow I'm going to show you some practical things that you can do to help you get in touch with the parts of you that are inspiring and that you can't see. Okay, so stay tuned. We're also going to be launching our branding challenge tomorrow, so you definitely want to make sure that you stay tuned to the feed because I'll be sending out some links, and if you're on my mailing list, you'll also get an email about that. And if you are interested in learning more about the Abundant Healer program, 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online, I invite you to check out the website, and I'm going to put it in the caption of this video. So also, if anything comes up, if you're someone who struggles to figure out what's unique about you, how to stand out in your business, if you feel like your niche is saturated and you're not sure how to put yourself out there, I'd love to see and hear your comments in the thread below, because that's also going to help me come up with a bang up curriculum for our branding challenge. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing your comments.